Welcome to From the Green Velvet Couch podcast. Through her professional career of being a life coach, therapist, and certified corporate wellness specialist, your host, Shelly O'Neill, has accompanied many on journeys of healing and personal wellness. Now join Shelly and her guest from the Green Velvet Couch.
Welcome, Danette Mahabeer-Turner. I'm thrilled that you are on the podcast today from the Green Velvet Couch. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much, Shelly, for having me. I'm excited.
We're going to jump right in and tell us about your title, a little bit about your history. And I know you have a platform for domestic violence. Plus, you do all sorts of things. You know, you're a singer, an actress, a business owner, entrepreneur. So we're going to jump right into your life.
Definitely. I am Mrs. Kentucky Petite USA 2025, representing the entire state of Kentucky in a national pageant for the Petite USA organization this July in Chicago. So I'm super excited for that journey, my first national competition in pageantry, and I'm excited for that. I am a domestic violence survivor, and I'm a published author of a book called Leave Alive, subtitled Goodbye Domestic Violence. And, I just wanted to use my experience and just become an advocate for those who may be facing this crisis right now. Things that I wish existed when I was enduring that, or resources that I wish I knew about, when I was going through domestic violence. And so I've just been using my experience to create a platform with my TV show called Voices of Victory. And it's specifically to raise awareness on domestic violence. So I interview from judges that deal with domestic violence cases all the time and orders of protection. I talk with advocacy centers like the Merriman House, and there's various ones in each state, and domestic violence survivors like myself, and psychologists, and just kind of delving into what causes an abuser to think the way they do, and why do victims tend to stay even when they know that they are in harm's way, and just understanding from the psychological perspective of how we can educate our community, removing the stigmas that are around the things that people are enduring and are ashamed to talk about because they feel like they're at fault with what they're facing.
I love that. And, our podcast is really about, hearing stories from people who have overcome really difficult things and challenges. I love, not only are you open and transparent about being a survivor, but you really do have a goal of educating the community and really just letting people know that there is not just life beyond being in an abusive relationship, but a glorious, wonderful life.
Absolutely. And, I'm blessed to be able to recreate my life and what it looks like moving forward. Of course, there had to be some healing and counseling and redirecting. And, I was at ground zero when I hit rock bottom. Not saying that everyone that is currently going through domestic violence will hit that. And I mean, everybody's rock bottom looks different, right? I was rooted up from another state, flown miles away just to be closer to my family. I was 7 months pregnant, just trying to figure out what life is going to look like, not just for me now, but for a baby, right? I had no car, I had no job. It's just starting all over for me, created some lack of hope at some point, but because I was surrounded by family and friends and my church community, and, I was given resources from advocacy centers and free services and therapy and counseling and just different things to help me get back on my feet and help even with the legal aspect of things. Legal aid was there for me, provide me with a free attorney that represented me to his best ability. And so for everyone that goes through some kind of traumatic experience, that will look different. There is no one size fit all. There is no one size scenario. But as you said, I took control of my life. I make a 360 turn, and I now get a blank canvas every single day, even now, to write my story, to create what my story will look like, what the next chapter of my life will look like. I create a blank canvas every single day, every single week of my life, and I get to choose what my life looks like from here on.
So you've really taken the power back in your life.
Absolutely.
Working with other domestic violence survivors and things, one of the things we've talked about is the abuser has all the power in the relationship, right? So I think I love that you use the word recreate, because regardless of what someone has overcome, knowing that you can recreate your life, I think is just huge. So for you, when did you start thinking along the lines of, I wanted to recreate my life? And tell me how you did that. So you had the resources from the community and different things, but how did you personally recreate your life? And did wellness play a part of that?
Oh, absolutely. So many people who know me as someone that introduces myself as a serial entrepreneur. And I do have multiple business ventures that are very successful. And I kind of was forced into that to begin with after basically going through counseling, domestic violence counseling, and getting myself healed from the hurt and the brokenness and just picking all the pieces up and trying to recreate what that puzzle looks like, right? I then had to create means of and sources of income to not just provide for myself, but for my daughter. And, while working a job, I created my first business as a photography and videography business named after her, Little London Photography. And I was in Nashville at the time. From there, it's just, becoming a certified life coach because now I've gotten poured into, and I felt like I now need to turn that into purpose. So I turned my pain into purpose and became a certified national life coach and business coach, and, just started pouring back into people. And it just felt really, really good. And for me, self care has helped me overcome those moments because you can be wrapped up and you can be caught up in what you're experiencing and not taking time for yourself because now you have to be a provider. Now you're having to be a survivor. You're having to get back into the reality of society after, picking all the pieces up. And so for me, self care and just utilizing mindfulness. A lot of people might ask, what is mindfulness? And mindfulness, there is no one size fit all, but it's being mindful of your strength, your purpose, mindful of, I need to take a break from me right now. What that looks like, it doesn't have to cost you a dime. You don't have to go get a massage for self care or mindfulness. You can literally just walk in the park and just observe the nature, maybe listen for the birds tweeting in the background, things that you wouldn't normally do in your day-to-day activities because we're so busy moving from one task to the next. And so that was mindfulness, aligning my body, mind, and soul, and ensuring that I am capable mentally to take on the task of a mom or a business owner or just anything that I do and have the hats that I wear. And so that has helped me tremendously, Shelly.
I think mindfulness is so important, and a lot of people don't understand that it can be like a woohoo word, but really mindfulness is number one, it's about safety. People that are mindful, that means that they're
Mhm.
very present, so they're less likely to have
Absolutely.
accidents, to make bad decisions, bad judgments. Mindful is being present in the moment. When I'm leaving the grocery store and I'm loading groceries in my car, and then I'm coming home, I'm not on my phone. I'm not thinking about 100 things. I work with people who have had tragedies because they were distracted. For me, it's really about being present so you don't get lost in your task, but you're present and then you're safe. And then also, like you said, it's realigning with nature,
Oh, yes.
connecting your mind and your body and spirit, together. Mindfulness is really important. There's just a plethora of studies that talk about how important mindfulness is and teaching it to children. It helps regulate your nervous system. In case you didn't notice, I love mindfulness.
I love it. We could talk about this all day long. Yes.
And I know, speaking of mindfulness, that you have a new business venture that's starting that's incorporating some mindfulness.
So basically, I will be incorporating a lot of like aromatherapy. And I mean, it's still in the birthing stage right now, but I want when people hear the name of this wellness facility that they really do think of health and wellness and mindfulness, right? And think about self care and think about themselves that moment to disconnect from the world and to, as you mentioned, be present in that moment and be still. So I'm excited. I can't wait to share more about that. Right now, we're still in the paper and pen in the birthing stage, and that will be something that will be locally in Paducah, Kentucky for now.
Oh, that's so exciting. And I was a single mom for many years. And one of the things that I guess I want to share is that wellness does not have to be expensive. And at that time, being a single parent, I was always looking for things that didn't cost anything or it costs very little to do. And I think there's a misconception that you have to have a fancy program or a fancy app. And those things are wonderful and they can be very effective, but they're not always necessary. I know with your businesses and with your daughter and, the pageant that's coming up soon, what sorts of weekly or daily things do you do in your life to just stay well regulated and grounded and motivated and calm? What do you do?
Definitely. I love that you mentioned it does not have to cost anything. A lot of people, when they hear of self-care or mindfulness, they immediately think of a spa and they think of a massage, and those are great addition. I do get those periodically, and I do a lot of yoga. And, for those listening or watching yoga, you don't have to go to an actual session. There's so many different resourceful links on YouTube. You can literally type in yoga for beginners or yoga for neck and shoulder pain. If you're feeling tension in your head, your neck and shoulder, and you're just feeling like that's going to help you think and focus better, you can go to YouTube and you can even find a 5-minute video for mindfulness. And you'll just sit there and hear someone telling you with a spa like music in the background, basically just telling you, okay, feel your fingers wiggle or twinkle your toes or feel the breath coming out of your nose and touching on the top of your lip or feel your chest expanding. It's little things like that. And so I practice a lot of mindfulness. And from time to time, I listen to somebody else telling me what to do. I do that a lot on the other end. And so now I just want to listen to someone telling me how to be present. And so I'll do a 5-minute YouTube video for mindfulness, or I'll do a 5-minute yoga. Just get a towel if you don't have a yoga mat, your yard or your patio or just your living room, right? So I do a lot of yoga, a lot of mindfulness. And then you could Google and say self-care ideas that does not cost a dime, that are free. And it'll literally give you a list. And so I've done that in the past to help me when it comes to not finding self-care expensive, as you mentioned. And because I wanted to do it so frequently, Shelly, I know I could not afford a massage and then a facial and a pedicure and a manicure. And so I Googled looking up just free things to do for self-care. And you can tweak that for moms or business owners or whatever. Google is there to help you. And I was able to find stuff like taking a longer than usual shower. I mean, who would have thought? Just because oftentimes we probably put the clothes in the laundry and you're trying to run out the shower so you can take the pizza out the oven. And so you're just really trying to do the necessity of just taking a shower so you're not stink, right? But then it's like, what can you do? Turn the temperature up a little bit, maybe put some jazz music on, light a candle while you're taking your shower, and just take a longer than usual shower. Like feel the water running on your body, just inhaling, as it's becoming evaporated in your shower, just little things like that. And you come out feeling so much better about yourself, your well-being, your mental state. And so I've done walks in the park or just maybe picking my favorite flower from a garden. So it doesn't have to cost a thing. And so those helped me tremendously.
And those are great, great suggestions. And what I noticed was that the more I looked for things, the more I found things. I remember Sunday afternoons when my kids weren't there, if they were all, out or something, I would find like an open house. And I particularly liked log homes. And it was just a great way. It didn't really cost anything. And I would do a little bit of research on the type of log home it was. But, I learned a lot. And then it was a nice thing to treat myself. And I don't know. I just learned during that time what thoughts I put in my mind and my brain were going to determine how I reacted. I might not be able to change what was going to happen or what had happened, but I could change how I reacted to it. And by mindfulness and wellness things, and just like I said, a simple thing is, going to an open house and looking at a model log home and learning about that. And then I would go to seminars. And long story short, then when I remarried, my husband happened to have a log home.
Wow.
It was really cool. I'm like, I think I've manifested this. But it really was about when I had time to doing something for myself that encouraged me. Because if I wasn't going to think about that, it would be easy to spiral and think about something really negative and get really discouraged and down and depressed. So I think wellness is a mindset, it's connecting your mind with your body, and it helps train us to put good things in our thoughts that can really impact our entire life.
That is true. And I just wanted to add on that. When you mentioned manifestation, I am a big and firm believer in that as well. And that is creating a mental state of mind as well. You know, you're manifesting what you want your life to be, back to like the blank canvas I talked about. And so I am also very intentional about manifestation. I will write down things that I want to see. I will repeat them to myself. Like this, one of the things I always say is the best is yet to come. And I told a lot of my friends and just affiliates around me, I said, I could be on stage receiving an award. And I will tell myself verbally, like I can hear myself utter the words off stage, on stage, whatever. I have this trophy in my hand. I just got an award. It's the best day ever, right? But no, I still tell myself the best is yet to come. The best is always yet to come. Because again, creating my life, creating what my future looks like, and so that's an affirmation. That's a manifestation I've always tell myself, is that my best years are ahead of me. And that is being mindful. It's like being kind to yourself and giving yourself grace as you're doing that as well.
Oh, absolutely. I love the mantra of our best days are ahead. And I also think that that comes from, we're a little wiser today, or at least we should be, than we were yesterday. So when you have more information, you make better decisions. And then being hopeful, which is the resilience and the survivor that you are.
Absolutely.
And I don't know, I just really love vision boards and all those things. But it's really not about a vision board. I have an album on my phone, and every morning before I get up from bed, I will look at that, and they're all pictures that make me feel good. And I know that it's then going to send those thoughts and those images to my brain, and my brain can then practice producing things like dopamine, which makes you feel good, or serotonin, which makes you feel calm. There again, it doesn't cost anything. They're my own pictures that I have taken of, my family and in places that I enjoy. But those sorts of things, if you get to know healthy people and you watch healthy people, you see that it's a lifestyle. It's not today I'm going to sit down and do my mindfulness program. It's teaching yourself and learning and practicing to be mindful. Because you're right, if you don't have time or, the money to be able to go to a spa, you take a longer shower. You're right. You turn down the lights, you get the stage set, you turn on some great music, and you still regulate your nervous system. You still reconnect. My best days, really are ahead.
I mean, even journaling. Journaling is a good way. You can get a book at the Dollar Tree that says dream big, like all the time you go in there and they have like nice little words on the front. You just need a book and you start journaling, whether it's how your day was today or what made you happy. And there are also journals on Amazon and all over that kind of guides you if you're like, well, I don't know what to do with this blank book, notebook. You can find journals that help you to say, okay, what was your high today? What was your low? How did you feel in the morning? Different things like that to help you just journal, like what was your day like? And that helps you so much because again, it comes right back to being mindful. And the more you're mindful is the more you're intentional.
Yeah, most definitely. And it does really circle back around to being able to focus, to enjoy your life, and to slow down and notice, the animals, the trees and the flowers in nature, and realize that we are part of the world, but there's a lot of beauty around us that we can tap into that doesn't cost anything. And that doesn't mean that that season of life, everything is great. I think most people think, I'm going to get healthy when life gets better. You got healthy when life was really difficult, and it helps you recreate a new life that is
Love that.
very healthy.
Very well said.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, I'm going to end on that note, but thank you again. We'll be cheering for you during the upcoming pageant, so keep us posted, and we'll wait to hear about the new business venture as well. But thank you so much. And is there anything you'd like to say? Why don't you go ahead and share your social media contacts if you don't care?
Oh, absolutely. And Shelly, thank you so much for having me again. I have a YouTube channel where you can catch up with programs like the Voices of Victory for domestic violence, or Voice Thoughts Talk Show, which is all society based. It's Danette Mahabeer-Turner on YouTube, Danette Mahabeer-Turner on Instagram and Facebook, or you can also find Mrs. Kentucky Petite USA 2025 Facebook page. And thank you so much again. It's been a true honor.
Thank you so much.